Do you read comics with your kids? Is that even a thing? Do you have kids? Do you not know if you have kids? We're going to talk about comics with kids. Hey there, this is Perch. This isn't one of the most popular topics I've gone into in the past. You look at the metrics of the videos, and what are people interested in? It makes sense. I think my demographic is in their kind of 20s or 30s, from what I can tell, kind of that general kind of spectrum there. And most of the folks don't have kids. They've gotten away from kid stuff. So the idea of going back to kid stuff is not not the most appealing topic for them. But I think there's an interesting dialogue or an interesting thought process here with comics of, is this what is a shared experience? And when I mean that, I'm talking about this with kids, but it can be anything. It can be friends. It can be, part of a community. One of the things that comics has wanted to do for many years now and kind of always failed at is this idea that comics can be a bridge to other people, that media, well, put it this way, there's such a thing as a shared experience. And if you look at how movies are evolving, right now, the idea of a movie theater and going to see a movie for, say, $12 is becoming less appealing rapidly. You can buy that movie, or at least rent it at home, watch it on a 4K screen, kind of in the comfort of your house with some avocado toast, and life is pretty good. And why go to a movie theater where the seats are going to be kind of run down and crappy, and the picture and sound quality is going to be dubious? I mean, what's funny is I go to a movie and they make a big show at the beginning of like, we've got Dolby sound, and then there's some little ad where like speakers are blowing the skin off somebody, and it sounds good, or sorry, it looks good, but then the movie's going on and it's like, I think I'm just as good at home. Like I don't know, I don't feel like I went out and I bought this amazing sound system by any stretch of the imagination, but feels like the sound I have at home is just as good or better than what I have in the theater. And if I wanted to, I could put on headphones, or even kind of the Bluetooth kind of wireless earbuds or something, and I think the sound would be incredible. You talk about immersive; it would just be, I'd be sitting on my couch just having a great time. But anyway, the movie theaters are suffering. So one of the things that they've started doing, you see some movie theaters having, they serve food there, but it's an encouragement to bring your friends. It's becoming a community thing. It's becoming a bunch of you come, and there's some theaters, at least in the Seattle area, where they have kind of a local film critic get up ahead of time before the movie begins and give a little talk about kind of some of the themes of what's going on in the film. That sounds absolutely dreadful to me, but some people go for it. And then the movie shows, and then there's kind of they come around and serve drinks after the movie, and you're encouraged to just kind of talk a little bit about what you thought about the film. And for some reason, this is appealing to people. But the idea I do get is this idea that we're going to make movie watching more community based. And there's some other theaters out there that are getting rid of the seats like they were and just putting like couches and tables kind of around the theater. So, you get a couple drinks, you go and you go watch the movie on a huge screen, and it's more of that kind of community experience. And comics, it's still you and a comic. So it's a one-to-one experience. But on two different fronts, comics have wanted to figure out how do they get into that kind of Twitch streaming kind of way of doing comics. There are, when you see the Richard Meyer guy kind of flipping through a comic with you, it's like you're reading it with him. That's the appeal of at least some of his video. It's like, hey, I'm reading this comic with this guy, and that's what I'm doing. And so that's an interest. I mean, this is an interesting idea of, can comics become more of a community reading experience? But where I started with this is, do you read comics to your kids? It's really kind of the same idea. It's the idea of creating a shared experience with someone else. In this case, your child, where you can kind of read the comic together and you can explore these things, as a parent. It's funny. This is going to sound very strange, and like some of the audience will immediately understand what I'm talking about, and other parts of the audience are going to not get it at all. Some of the happiest moments of my life are sitting and kind of reading a comic to my daughter, and you get to this moment where Galactus appears on Earth to eat the Earth, and the Silver Surfer is there, and to flip this page, and my daughter's like, oh, because it's this oh my goodness kind of moment. She's so wrapped up in the story. We're reading it together that these moments, these kind of iconic moments, I get to live for the second time. I wrote, I went back and forth. I wrote the Scott Snyder on Justice League 30. I'd gotten a copy and was sitting there with my daughter reading Justice League 30, and it's a Justice Doom War, the start of it. And it's just, it's the start of the storyline. Snyder had been building to it for some time. But as we're reading it, and it's like, she gets this point where I'll remember Luther kind of is with Perpetua and steps back, and then it's like, I've got the Legion of Doom here, and you see this kind of army of villains behind him. And she had the same reaction, like, oh, she makes this noise. It's like, there's a lot of bad guys there, Dad. And I'm like, yeah, it is. And so we're experiencing this shared kind of wonder moment. It's just a shared moment, and it can be big moments or they can be small moments. But this idea of connecting with somebody, and if it's your own child, then it's, I think, a really big deal. But the idea of having these moments together. It's funny. I watched Empire Strikes Back with someone at one point, and not even somebody I was close to. In fact, almost the opposite. Somebody I didn't particularly like. And it gets to the moment where Darth Vader goes, "I am your father," and this person goes, "Oh," and I laughed because it's like, it's 20 years from when that movie came out. And the first time, I'm like, how in the world did you avoid? How did you avoid knowing that? That's one of the key spoilers. I don't know. It's amazing. But it's these moments that are huge and significant and big, and to be able to share them with somebody else, to be able to have these connected experiences are, I think, really, really powerful in how they are done. But at any rate, I think there's real value, kind of to hit 2 points at once. I think there's amazing value if you're a parent to be able to read these comics with your kids, to have that shared experience, to be able to connect in that way. And it's good for both. I mean, for the kid, you're introducing them to a whole kind of amazing world of comics and science fiction and fantasy elements, and that's just cool. But for you as the parent, you're able to, I mean, you get a do-over of these cool moments. You get a repeat of some of these major, iconic, cool moments, and that's equally cool. I think that's really pretty awesome in how it comes down. But I think that's very cool. I think the whole idea of shared experiences with comics is kind of an untapped thing that as we roll into the future and we look at more ways to kind of grow comics and expand the community and get more people into comics, I think the idea of a shared comic experience, that sounds laughable just how I'm saying that. That sounds like that is the most touchy-feely kind of thing you've ever heard. But there's something really cool about it. It is why the diversity in comics guy, why he has been popular, is because he creates this moment where people feel like they're having a shared reading experience with him. It's why Twitch and some of the game streamers are so popular. You're having these connected experiences. So what all can we do with connected experiences? I think that there's a pretty amazing world out there for people to explore and kind of get into where these things are concerned. But what do you think? All hot air? You agree? What does connected experiences in comics mean to you, or does it mean nothing? Would love to get your comments below. Let me know what you think. Like, subscribe, click the bell for notification. Follow me on Twitter at Comic Perch, and thanks for listening.